Hello and welcome back to DriveDriverDriven. I'm Humble and we're back in the garage again, still wiring, but today I wanted to call out a couple of systems and products in particular that I don't think I did real justice to in the Ultima, so I really wanted to call it out here, plus an additional product that kind of helps ease some of the wiring logic you need to figure out. So without further ado, what I wanted to call out was the Summit Technologies Raptor wireless steering wheel button system and the Venom module that they also sell. I also want to give just a quick shout out to Lee, who was hugely supportive both in the Ultima rebuild and with the MK build here when I said I really wanted to use his wireless system again. He was quick to come through and ship it out. So again, like, Lee's just a fantastic guy, so can't recommend them enough. I haven't shown a lot of interior video, but in the Ultima, I have this very worn looking steering wheel, and these are normally wireless buttons. There's this very heavy duty, thick PCB that gets mounted between the steering wheel and the removable boss. And previously I've mentioned blacking out the edge with like a paint marker or a paint pen, which I really think adds to just the quality of the piece. It helps hide that fiberglass edge on the PCB so it blends in a little bit better to my eye. These buttons are amazing. Like, they are semi-waterproof or water resistance, let's say. All of these little labels, and you can see the difference between the ones here on the MK and the ones here on the Ultima. All these labels are removable. In fact, there's a sticker pack with several different designs. So you have these style of like blacked out labels. You have this style of very colorful, bright labels, which I wanted to use on the MK to help them kind of jump out a little bit more. So the way these work is you have this PCB with the battery that's in the middle, and this only transmits when you're pressing the button, and then you have a module like this. So this is for the Clubman, which is what I'm using in the MK, and I was using a Pro, Raptor GP Pro in the Ultima, and there's an important difference between the two, and it will affect, well, how you wire really. So in the Clubman, each pair of these wires, so I have like 2 yellows, 2 orange, 2 greens, and so on. Well, what it does is when you press the button, you can set some dip switches inside of the unit that will either set it for latching or momentary, flashing or not flashing. And so let's say we have it latching and flashing. So for that, we would use our turn signals. So we would press it once, the turn signals would flash, and they would flash until we pressed it again, and then it would turn off. But that function across these 2 wires is for closing continuity for the Clubman box. So really what this is doing is allowing power to pass through the circuit. If it's blinking, that means it's constantly opening and closing a relay inside here. If it's latching, it's just closing the relay. All you're doing is you're allowing power to go through it and to a flasher and then to the ground. If you're using a Pro module like we are on the Ultima, you can do just a 5-volt signal out of this box on a single wire. So when you press one of the same buttons, you can set up the same behavior: latching, momentary, flashing, or not flashing. But in this case, it's sending a 5-volt signal. So when I hit the blinker here, it's just sending a single 5-volt signal that's flashing to my PDM inside the Ultima, which then says, oh, we're gonna flash the lights. And then I hit it again, and it'll turn it off. But that's a 5-volt signal. It's not grounding or adding power or continuity across a couple of wires. It's just a single 5-volt signal. And you can either feed it into a PDM, which is what I'm doing, as a logic level signal, or you can use that. It's strong enough to drive a relay. So if you have like a batch of relays, you can drive your turn signals that way. So that's the difference between the Raptor Clubman and the Raptor Pro. So as I said, we're using the Raptor Pro in the Ultima, the Clubman here. I wanted to try the Clubman this time to see what the difference was between the two. I think the Pro is like $50 more. Not really a whole lot, but depending on how you want to wire your car, that will make a difference. And I would say if you're using a PDM like I am in the MK and the Ultima, definitely go for the Pro for a logic level signal out. It just makes life easier that you can feed it into different inputs and so on. Back onto the Clubman. So as I mentioned, it just closes continuity on the wires, which adds more of a complicated setup, let's say, for integration with a PDM. And so what I'm doing is I'm feeding power into one side and then lights to the ground on the other side. But if you have turn signal on one side, turn signal on the other side, well, what if you want to use a hazard light? You can't drive one light or the other light and both lights at the same time on the same sort of logic in, because any hazard signal that's going to drive one light will cause both lights to backfeed and drive each other. You might be able to fix that with a diode or whatever, but to make life simpler, they also have this Venom module from Summit, which simplifies things greatly. So now instead of going down to the lights, what I'm doing is I'm feeding that signal from the Clubman into our Venom box, and then our Venom box drives the lights. And we can give it a quick demo here, because with the Venom box, it has its own logic inside. So I have our kind of a mess of a turn signals, everything set up here. And what I'm going to do is just hit the left turn signal. So the way the buttons are set up is on a momentary. So if I press it once, the way the Venom module works is it'll flash 4 times and then turn off. If I hold it for a couple seconds, then it'll continuously flash until I press the button again to cancel, and it turns off. Ditto for the right turn signal. Same feature, same functions, press and hold to have it latching and continuously blink, and then once again to cancel. The other thing that's nice is if I press one turn signal and then the other, it will cancel. And then if I press the hazards are latching regardless. So just a single press to have them on, single press to have them off. But with our turn signals will also do cancellation and then turn it off again. So that's the built-in logic of the Venom module. And I'll clean up this wiring, but I wanted to get this set up as just kind of a quick demo. Also, shout out to our little benchtop power supply. I mentioned this in a previous video, and again, this is why it's handy to have a portable little power supply unit, is because you could run tests like this and see if what you think will work will actually work before you make your wiring permanent. Another thing I wanted to shout out here while we have our steering wheels. So not only are we using the same Summit wireless buttons for both steering wheels, but I also wanted to call out the OMP steering wheel quick releases that I use on both cars. I really like these because of their positive locking nature. So the one I have on the Ultima is actually the older design, and it has this kind of coned kidney bean shape so that when you press it in, it locks positively and there's no play or slop. Their new design has this kind of dual-bladed peg, whatever, keyed design, so you can't put the wheel in upside down, let's say. And this is also very positive locking. In fact, so much so that it can be difficult to release. So I need to play with that a little bit more, but I really like these style of wheel releases that are very positive locking. So there's really no doubt that the wheel's on and it's locked in positively. So like we did with the Ultima, you can see here that I've done the same thing and blacked out the PCB. Again, it just gives it such a nice look and it blends in with the wheel a little bit better. For our MK install, I've got a couple of buttons free and I intend to keep the wiring available and just tuck it up under the dash, because we can use this for future systems, maybe that I haven't thought of currently or haven't thought of yet, or for future expandability. Maybe to turn on a camera system or turn on a cool suit, something like that. So having a couple extra circuits is going to be handy down the road. So just a quick little call out for those systems, kind of a short one today, but I wanted to give them sort of their own dedicated episode. I don't feel like I did it justice last time when we installed that in the Ultima, and I didn't want to make that same mistake again. So shout out to Summit Technologies for getting these out as quickly as they could. And again, it's just an awesome product. It works fantastic, and I love having the freedom without wires to be able to pull the wheels off as needed. So thanks again to Lee & Company for helping out with these. That being said, I think that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.